here. Yay. Oh, I definitely plan to go back to the South. I actually was just in Georgia a couple weeks ago doing a retreat. So I plan to come back for sure. Hey everybody over on YouTube. Hello, hello. This live I just kind of wanted to do to kind of talk about my 4th month of my block of the month. I have 2 different cameras going on because I have one for Instagram and one for YouTube, so you might see me kind of looking around. But April was the 4th row of our block of the month, and I just wanted to do a little live, talk to some people, see what you're thinking as we kind of get, I guess, a third of the way through. And so I'm actually going to do my first 4 rows. Hey, Ian. Hey. I'm doing my first 4 rows. I'm going to actually combine the rows together, which I know that some of you already have, and some of you wanted a little bit of guidance when it comes to that. So, again, I am on 2 different devices because I have my YouTube here and then I have my Instagram over here. So, bear with me if you see me looking around a little bit. But hey, Ian. Hello, hello, hello. So let me kind of show it. So if you want to see what I'm actually doing, because I know Instagram you can't really see too much, go over to my YouTube and you can see, because I have a top view camera as well over there. But this is the 4th row. Let me see if I can, there we go, of my block of the month. And we have it finished. This is what it looks like. Here, let me come back here. It's pretty cute. So then by the time we have these 4 rows combined, we'll have the full bird, we'll have the beehive, and we're starting to get down to where we're going to start seeing some of the fall colors come to, which is really exciting. Hello, hello. Yeah, so my friend Ian from Off Kilter Crafter Ian over on YouTube helped me with setting up my my setup for my live, so I appreciate you, Ian, for that. Yeah, so here's the 4th row. So for anybody that's interested in seeing like a top-down view of what I'm doing, go over to my YouTube channel, because I do have a different setup for over there. But I thought I'd come on Instagram as well, just to let more people see. So hang on one second, I dropped my stuff. Okay, so the fourth row of my block of the month, and I do want to put my rows together. And if anybody has any questions or anybody is interested in joining my block of the month, it's not too late. You can actually join and just catch up. If you go over to my website, which is juliushandmade.com, you can go there, you can sign up, and you can just catch up on your own time. This isn't something that has to be done, right away, or, on any kind of schedule. Fix this a little bit here. Okay. So let me show y'all the first 2 months. So this was month 1, which was pretty simple. And then we have month 2, which is also, it gets a little bit more detailed, some smaller pieces here. So what I want to do is combine the 2 rows together. So what I like to do when I'm doing that is I'm going to lay out both rows kind of one on over the other so that we can see what points need to match. Like here I can see I want my tree points over here to match. I want this little flower to match as well. And again, if you're on my Instagram, go over to my YouTube if you want to see kind of a top down of what I'm doing. So I like to use pins. I prefer to pin over using clips. I just find that I get much better results from that. So the first thing I'm going to do, because I have kind of this line going down the center of my first 2 rows, that's where I'm going to kind of start pinning. So if you still have your papers on like I do, what we want to do is we're going to come in to this, where this 1/4 inch line is, the solid line. I'm going to put my pin right through the seam there, right, so it comes out the other side. And I want to be careful on the other side that I'm also coming through right in the seam, and that it's not actually catching like in the piece itself. So right along the seam at that 1/4 inch. The struggle that I sometimes have is that my papers will come off before I want them to. Hey Julie, hello, welcome from Michigan. Oh, also, just to let you guys know, we're under like a tornado watch tonight. So worst case scenario, my power goes out and I have to cancel the live, but for now we're just gonna go with it. We had a tornado watch last night as well, which was fun. It's always a good time here in Oklahoma. So then what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the same pin. So I have it through, let's see if you can see, you can kind of see it. It's a little bit hard, but I have my pin through the top layer, or the top row. So now I'm going to bring it through at that seam through the second row, and I want it to come out at that 1/4 inch. So you kind of have to play with it a little bit to get to that 1/4 inch, but you want to do the best that you can. So then I have my 2 rows combined at that 1/4 inch. Let me see if I can show it better here. It's kind of difficult, but you can kind of see I have my pin. So this is going to be really helpful for just making sure that that seam right there kind of lines up. And then I just lock it in. And I don't have any issues really with it shifting. Some people do. I'm going to show you another technique for if you do have some shifting going on. Hey, welcome in. Okay. And if you guys have any questions, feel free to post in the chats. I'd love to kind of chat about it. I am over on my YouTube channel as well, so if you want to see like an overhead view of what I'm doing, go over to my YouTube channel and join there. So I'm using like a different system, so it doesn't tell me how many people are watching on YouTube, so hopefully some people are, and if not, that's okay, you'll catch it later, because I will post it. Okay, so for the flower, I do have a point that I want to match in my flower here, so that it matches nicely. So I'm going to, again, go through that 1/4 inch, and then I'm going to just kind of match my points here at that 1/4 inch. It's really simple, but sometimes with the smaller points, you want to be careful not to just kind of lock it in, because it might shift a little bit if it's a really small point. So what I like to do is I hold my pin that I've placed through the point. I hold that perfectly perpendicular. Just make sure it's very straight. And then I'll come through with another pin right beside it, and that's what I'll lock in, keeping that first pin completely straight. And then I'll go to the other side of that pin as well and lock it in. So now I can take that original pin out, and I have the two pins kind of holding that that space, so it's not going to shift, and those points will match. Okay, and then I'm going to continue to go around, and I know that, again, as I mentioned earlier, my little tree point, I want those to match as well. Is anybody else doing any sewing tonight? Hey, Julie. Yeah, I think YouTube, so anybody that's just joining, if you want to go over to my YouTube channel, you'll be able to see kind of a overhead shot as well of what I'm doing. Right now, I am working on my block of the month. For the first 4 months, I'm actually combining my rows together. So my block of the month is really a row of the month. So over on my YouTube, you'll be able to see exactly what I'm doing there. Okay, so same kind of concept here. I have my 2 points matched, and my pin through, and then I can take another pin and go on either side. Hey, Miranda. Hand sewing binding, that's awesome. I am not a hand sewer at all. Once in a while I will, but it's not my preference for sure. Yes, I'm working on laundry basket mystery quilt. Oh, fun. Very, very cool. Okay. And then I have this the sun. So obviously I want my sun, for those on Instagram, you can see I want those edges to also match so that it makes a nice little circle. So I'm going to go ahead and do the same thing. If anybody has any questions or anybody wants to just kind of chat, feel free to post in the comments anywhere. I'm just kind of chilling tonight, and I wanted to just kind of connect with people and also share this block of the month. So for those that have just joined, you are absolutely welcome to still join my block of the month. It's not too late. I've had a couple people join actually the past day or two, which has been great. You just catch up and go at your own pace. This isn't a race. You can do it at any time. All right, so I got my points here matched. So for me, one of the more difficult things isn't really the matching the points. It's kind of, if you'll notice, I like to press my seams open. So here you can see like all my seams, not all of them, but most of my seams are pressed open. So when I'm sewing my two rows together, I want to make sure that I'm not kind of flipping my seams. It's much harder from the back, so I kind of have to take it slow and just take my time with it. Okay, let's see. Someone's Penny is working on an EPP project. That's awesome. Hello, welcome everybody. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead. Actually, no, I need to do the second half. So I got the first half all pinned, and we're good up to that little center point. So now I'm just gonna go around, and I'm just looking to see if there are any points that need to be matched. And I'm just gonna pin them here. Is anybody that's watching, are you signed up and doing my block of the month? Just curious. Oh, let me grab some more pins. Hang on. Hello. I definitely think there's a little bit of a delay for the chat. Not yet. I listened to the podcast that you were on with Beth. Oh, good. Yeah. So that podcast I was just on, it's the Social Hour. Hello. Oh, taking a hand sewing year. That's great. Yeah, I was on the podcast, The Social Hour, which was so much fun with my friends Bethany and Audra, and I had a great time. I was so happy that they asked me to do that. Hello. If you are watching on Instagram, it might be a better experience over on YouTube, so you're welcome to go check me out over there. I'm currently live on both, but YouTube has an overhead shot as well, so you can see what I'm doing. Okay, let's see. Yes, I'm on the third row. Excellent. Haven't started yet. You've never done FPP. Oh, Penny. It's so much fun. I actually teach FPP workshops, and I think I am going to try to do like an online something. So right now I just do in-person FPP workshops for like different guilds and stuff, but I do want to offer them online as well, because I think a setup like this where you can see the overhead shot works perfectly. to teach it. That's how I teach my workshops in person as well. I have a camera hooked up to a TV because you kind of have to be able to see what I'm doing. So I will be hosting an online workshop. I just need to figure out when. Okay, so now I have my first 2 rows are pinned together. So then I just go and I just make sure I do 1/4 of an inch, and I try not to adjust too much, but I will just kind of be looking on the back as I'm going to make sure that I am not folding over my seam allowances. Oh, hang on. Let me thread my machine. Let's try that again. So as I go, I just kind of lift up and see, are there any seam allowances that I need to be mindful of, so I can make sure that I don't accidentally fold them. Inevitably, I always mess up, and then I just kind of unstitch just around that seam allowance, and then I go back over it. Hey everybody. And then I actually sew right over my my pin, so I just go slowly over it. But I like to keep them in because that ensures that I'm keeping my my points matched and it doesn't shift. Okay, do you mark your 1/4 inch on the seam prior to pinning? So if I have my, like here I have my papers still on, so that that solid line actually is my 1/4 inch line. However, when we get to the next 2 rows, I actually pulled all my paper off, and I will show you how I do that. But I don't mark my 1/4 inch. I actually just estimate, and I've actually gotten pretty good at estimating. But if you're pretty new to it, I would recommend measuring some way, marking it or something. Yeah. I do find that foundation paper piecing is pretty forgiving when it's as precise as it is when it comes to piecing and attaching your sections. The 1/4 inch doesn't have to be perfect, at least in my experience. But I will say, typically if I have this much done, I like to take my papers out because right now, I mean, it's heavy, it's bulky under my machine, but also sometimes the papers keep falling out, and when that happens, I can't, I can't determine exactly where my 1/4 inch, so I end up following just the 1/4 inch line anyway. So I will sometimes, well, actually most often, take out my papers. And I do press, yes, so Beth, I do press my seams open. I find that it gives me a much flatter seam. It looks great, and because we're doing foundation paper piecing and we are doing a really small stitch length, like I use a 1.5-ish stitch length, we get a lot of stitches that are holding that together. So I like that. Ian gasp. You take your papers out. I do. I'll tell you, I just find it much easier. And honestly too, I'm not perfect, and I don't always stress about it. To me, quilting is fun. If I have a point that's maybe not perfectly matched but is passable, I'll just leave it. I definitely don't stress about those things. I know that a lot of people do, and that's fine. As long as you don't ask that I also stress about it. Almost done. And these are pretty long seams, so just be really, really careful. Do you have magic pins? Yes. So I'm not using my magic pins because they're out in my car. I have all my... It's in my travel bag for quilting, and they're out in my car because I'm traveling this week. But I do love the magic pins and definitely recommend them. They are they're a little bit thinner, which is really nice because then I feel like it makes your points a little bit more accurate. If you have a thick pin, it's not always as accurate, I guess. I've kind of gotten used to the thicker ones, but I do really like the magic pins. And you can actually, I have a link to them on my website under the Block of the Month, 2026 Block of the Month page, if you're interested in purchasing them. But yeah, they're great. I recommend them for sure. And one thing, if you're pinning the way that I am, where you go through the point exactly, you want to make sure that when you're stitching it, you're going over that exact point where you entered your pin, because that's the point that you want to match, right? So for anybody that's just joining me on my Instagram, if you go over to my YouTube, I'm actually, I think it's a little bit of a better setup where you can actually see a top view. Okay, so once I have it stitched together, I look on the other side, and I'm just going to look for any spots where I might have flipped my seam. So like you can see here on this one, that one here. So I like to pull these out. I just like I snip that like the first thread right where that is, and then I can kind of pull it away and get in there. Because it drives me crazy, I need to have it be open, and then I'll just go over that point and backstitch a couple times. I get the point. Ian's making jokes over here. Hello, hello. I think this is probably the worst part. And so the reason this happens when I have my paper on is because you can't really starch your seams when you have the paper still on. And that's one reason why I take it off, because then I can starch my my seams and make them really flat. And I just like that better. Okay. So anyway, I go through and I just check that, and these are all looking okay. So then I can pull out my pins. So one thing I will recommend is that if you have your paper still on when you're attaching your rows, definitely make sure that you rip off the paper at least on the seam allowances. So same thing when you're putting sections together. I like to just rip off my seam allowance paper, and that way I can press my seams open and flat without any issues. If you do not take off the paper on that seam allowance, it's going to be miserable for you to take it off later after you've added a bunch of sections. Some fraying. So when you're adding your sections, take off the paper on the seam allowance. When you're adding your rows together, do the same thing. All right. Does anybody have any fun plans for this end of the week? Anyone doing any retreating? I'm actually teaching. So tomorrow I'm the guest speaker for the Green Country Quilt Guild, which is actually 2 miles from my house, which is amazing. And then on Friday I am teaching an FPP workshop, which is a lot of fun. I just taught the same workshop last week to the Tulsa Modern Quilt Guild, which is also local to me. And I'm pretty excited for it. I think it'll be a lot of fun. know Ian just got back from a retreat, and my friend Sue Ellen also did. Do you use printer paper, or something lighter? So I actually just use regular printer paper. I find that it's a little bit more sturdy. I still struggle with it kind of coming off before I want it to. So when I do use the lighter paper, like a newsprint or like the foundation paper piecing paper, it's even worse. Like it just comes off before I'm ready for it to. And it might just be because I use a really small stitch length and maybe I don't have to go quite as small as what I do. But I prefer the small stitches and I prefer regular paper. So then I kind of just look to see, do my points look decent enough? So here you can see this isn't too bad. Once I press it, it'll be a little bit better. Oh, there we go. But I just look to see, like my flower, it's not maybe not the most perfect, but I'm gonna say that's perfect enough for me. And my sun looks pretty good. So there's the first 2 rows, and that's with the paper still on. What I will do at this point probably is take off the paper. I'm not gonna do that on camera because it's a pain in the butt. But and then what I do is I starch from the back side. And I make sure to get all my seams nice and flat and open. So we also have rows 3 and 4 complete, but this time I did take the papers off because I kind of want to show you how I do that. This one does have a few more points that need to match, right? We have all the branches, we have the bird. We're gonna have the little beehive, which is super cute. Okay, so it's the same idea, right? I like to put one over the top of the other. I'm going to find this middle point right here. Kind of, this is the almost, I guess, the center where the 2 seasons are split. Oh, let me see. Hello, everyone. What's going on over here? Hello, Josh. Okay, I use glue sticks to keep the paper on, especially. Yeah, so then, with the bigger sections, I do use a glue stick and kind of glue it to the paper, so that that end is not flopping around. But I definitely don't use the glue stick for all of my sections or all of my pieces. I know some people, as soon as they sew on a piece of fabric, they immediately glue it down. I don't really do that. I do it for the big pieces and that's it. I do not stay stitch the outside of my blocks. So that's what I want to talk about with this. Because I've taken my paper off, we do need to be careful that we're not stretching the fabric. So with foundation paper piecing, we're using a lot of bias cuts. So they do tend to stretch a little bit more. So we do need to be careful. Oh, thank you. We do need to be careful not to stretch our fabric too much. And that's where the pinning will come in too, to make sure that we're good. So here I'm gonna pin on that center seam. And honestly, I just estimate my 1/4 inch. I've gotten pretty good. If you want to, you absolutely could, measure and if that's helpful, I don't. And again, if it's not perfect, it's usually not an issue for me. One thing that I like about not having the paper on is that when I lock in my pin, it doesn't shift as much because I don't have that paper kind of moving things around. So I do like that. And then when I'm sewing, I make sure that I sew right over where that point went into my my top. Okay. So I'm going to just start over here. And so I know that this part of the bird has to match with this part of the bird, right? So we're just going to kind of make that, estimate my 1/4 inch. And then here you can kind of see, let me try to find it. There we go. I'm coming through the blue. I want to be careful I'm not doing that. I want to make sure that I'm just coming right through that seam. So I just adjust it a little bit. this is more important with the, or more difficult to do with the smaller, smaller sections, but you can kind of see here that's better. That's like right through that seam. Bird is the word. Okay, and then I'm going to come through on the other side at my 1/4 inch. Okay, and then here I can kind of lock that into place. And then I'm going to make sure I sew right on that seam. Does anybody have any questions or comments or concerns? For anybody that's doing the block of the month, I'd like to know some feedback of how you've enjoyed it, because I know that it's... I've had some mixed reviews as far as the tiny pieces go, but I really like the tiny pieces. I like the detail. So one thing that draws me to foundation paper piecing is definitely being able to get so much detail into a quilt that honestly I personally could never do just like traditionally pieced. I feel like that's just, for me, it's impossible. I know that some people do some really small piecing. I'm just not one of them. Okay, so here we can see I have 2 branches. So I have this branch that I want to connect with this, and it kind of looks like they're going the opposite direction. So I have the bottom sides coming down this way, and then, but that's because I'm looking at the back. When I flip it, they'll be going at the right way. So, hello, welcome. If you're on my Instagram and you want to kind of see what I'm doing, I am live on my YouTube as well, so feel free to head over to my YouTube. It's just at Julia's Handmade, but you might be able to see a little bit better what I'm doing. I just popped on Instagram in case people wanted to hang out. Okay, so I'm going to go through both sides of the branch there. I'm going to lock my pin. This will take a lot of pins. Thank you, Josh. Yeah, this is honestly, so this is only my 2nd block of the month that I've done. So last year, if you saw, I did a different block each month, and they were kind of like based on that month. So this year I wanted to do something a little bit more cohesive, just like one cohesive quilt. And I'm really, really happy with this because I still wanted it to kind of be like something for the year. I did design this, yes. So this is my block of the month that I created, and you can actually join if you'd like to. It's not too late. On my website, sorry about that, which is just juliashandmade.com. So if you go to my website and click on the page for the 2026 block of the month, you can actually join, and you'll just play catch up or go as slow as you want. There's no rush or deadline to when you have to have it finished. But yeah, it's a lot of fun. All right, so here, you kind of have to just look like on both sides, because there are some small pieces that you have to kind of. So sorry if you guys are seeing the top of my head, but I have to look through both sides. And again, I'm not somebody that's going to stress like too much about points matching. I do want to make the match the best that I can, but I'm not going to pull my hair out over it, because quilting is fun. This is a fun project. I know that once it's complete and it's quilted and all that, those little tiny points that don't match aren't going to be noticeable by anybody, including probably myself. So I don't stress about it. I just want to have fun with my quilting. I enjoy the process. My favorite part of any quilt is the piecing. I love to piece. If you know me, you know that I have like probably 30 or 40 tops that are unquilted. I do have a long arm. I just don't like to quilt. I don't know. It's not fun for me, but I will, if I have a quilt that I want to put in a show or something like that, or a quilt that I'm giving as a gift, obviously I'll quilt it. So anyway, these 2 rows are a little bit more involved as far as the point matching goes, but what's really nice is that having my paper off, it's not as bulky, so when I'm going under my my machine, I'm not like trying to carry it over it. Kind of like when you're quilting with your machine, there's like, it's just heavy and you're trying to like maneuver it around. I don't have to worry about that with this. And especially when the quilt starts getting really big. Sorry, my thread came undone. When the quilt starts getting really big, it's going to be much easier without the papers. Again, it comes with its cons because you don't want to stretch your fabric. So I do find that starching before I do this part helps. So once I take off the paper, I starch it and I make sure that my seams are nice and flat, so you can kind of see, do the best that you can. I'll starch it again when I'm done, but at least where I'm doing my my pinning along that 1/4 inch line, if that is looking good and nice and flat, I have a lot less issues with my seams kind of folding on themselves. So I'm not saying I recommend taking off the paper, especially if you're very new to foundation paper piecing. You may want to keep it on just for that little bit of security. But I've been doing this a long time, and I find it to be easier. Alright, so here we're just going through. This row is taking a lot of pins. Sorry if this is boring to you. I find this to be really fun, if I'm being honest. I enjoy the piecing. Okay. I actually use best press is the starch that I use for it. But you can use any starch. That to me that doesn't matter. Whatever is your favorite. Eventually I want to make my own starch. I just haven't found the time to do that. But yeah, I use best press currently. Not that I think that's the best, that's what I use. So if anybody has recommendations for a starch that they really love, I'd love to hear it. Almost done, guys. Then I can sew it together. Just throw some pins here. There's no more points that need to match. Oh. So because I have my my papers pulled off, I am gonna just do some random pins as well, just to kind of hold everything together. So now that I have all my points matched, if I have any like really wide spacing, I'll throw in a pin just to kind of keep it from shifting. And then I know I can get, from one pin to the next without pulling. What's quilters? Hello. Anybody that's just joining me on Instagram, I am also live on YouTube, and I do have kind of a overhead view if you want to see what I'm doing, but I'm working on putting my rows together for my 2026 block of the month. So if you go over to YouTube, you'll be able to see that. Okay, magic quilting and crafting spray is what I like. It's buildable, yeah. The more you spray, okay, the stiffer it gets. That's nice. Okay, someone bright quilter moonshine. Oh, the quilter's moonshine. I've heard of that. Not boring. I love this stuff. Excellent. I love it too, honestly. I made my own. It was pretty easy. Vodka, fabric softener. I have seen where you can put like some kind of scent if you want, or I don't know if it's I guess maybe an oil. I really like the lavender smell from the Best Press, so I would probably put a little bit of that in there. Magic quilting and crafting spray. Yeah. I'm gonna have to look those up and see. I just, for whatever reason, I got some Best Press and I just stuck with it. Okay, so now this is where I do want to follow my 1/4 inch line because I don't have that solid line to guide me. So just make sure that if you've taken your papers off, that you are following along on your 1/4 inch line. But then it's really pretty fast. I do still have to kind of double check that my seams underneath aren't folding over. But I'll tell you, more often than not, they do, and I just have to fix it. I don't stress about it. If I catch it, great, but... And again, I still go over my pins, so I leave my pins in just so that my fabric doesn't shift, and then I'll just go right over them. And honestly, my 1/4 inch is pretty good. I'm actually impressed. Impressed with myself here. So the reason I don't love, well, one of the reasons I don't love traditional piecing is that I'm really bad at precision when it comes to like my 1/4 inch or even like precise cutting ahead of time. So again, I don't stress about it being perfect, but I do my best. I feel like with FPP it's a little bit easier than it is with traditional. And because I've already starched my seams and pressed them open, they do tend to stay a little bit flatter, so I don't get as much as many issues with it folding over. Do you know how fast you were driving? I have a fast. That's why. So I have a Juki. This is a Juki 2010. Is a TL 2010Q. Absolutely love it. Actually, if you are interested in a Juki machine, I am now an affiliate with Juki Junkies. So I will have a link on my website and on my Instagram and all that. In the very near future, like tomorrow. But absolutely love this machine. I actually have two of them because I love it so much. So one of them's my travel machine, and then one of them stays at home. This one has all kinds of stickers on it. I love it. Done. I also feel like that was even faster without the paper. I just feel like it's just so much easier. I think FPP is kind of easier. I think FPP is easier too. I love it so much. And I have a bunch. If you're new, I do have a bunch of not a bunch, but some free patterns on my website that are kind of beginner patterns, so you can check that out. Again, it's just juliushandmade.com. You have the same machine. That's funny. I keep it It's almost up to full speed. Not quite there, but it's almost there. I like the speed. That was one of the reasons I liked this machine. I like that it's mechanical, so there's not a lot of... I feel like with the computerized, first of all, to me it's too slow, but also there's more that can break with that, and I like that this is just mechanical. But yeah. Okay, so then I hold my breath to make sure all my little points match. It's not too bad. You can see here my branch is pretty good, right? Here's my center. Here's my branches. There's a little piece here, but trees aren't perfect, right? The little pieces are the hardest, so I'm actually pretty proud of that one there. That branch coming together here. So again, much easier to do without the paper, but you do have to be careful, and you kind of have to estimate your 1/4 of an inch and all of that. It asks for a guest password. Is that for the block of the month? So you're clicking on one of the months. So don't click on the month. Click on just the page, the block of 2026 block of the month link, not one of the months, and that's where you can sign up. Okay, look how cute that bird is. Adorable. And there's my little beehive. That's really fun. Okay, so I'm not going to put the two... So I have 2 rows here, and then I did the 2 rows before. I'm not going to put those together yet because I want to take the paper off of the other 2 rows. Because, as you could see, it's just so much better. And then this one, I will press my seam open, and it's a long seam, so I just take my time. It can become kind of a pain in the butt, but I prefer to press it open. Here I didn't see, I guess I didn't look very closely either, if I had any seams that, but I also don't stress too much about it. I just press it and it's fine. Yeah, see, like I have this one here that kind of folded over. So it's really easy. I just snip one of the stitches. Try not to cut through my fabric at all, just the stitch. Right, and then I can kind of open that back up, and then I'll just go over that a couple, back and forth a couple times. And we're good. Hey everybody. And there we go. And then I have my little... this is probably so far my favorite part of the quilt. Let me come back here. This is my little bird. And my little... I just think it's so fun. So what's kind of cool about this block of the month is that I'm actually sewing it basically along with you. So like I don't have the 5th row sewn yet. So I will have that sewn before the 1st of the month, but I'm kind of just doing it as we go. My original goal was to do it all ahead of time, and I haven't. Hey, I loved your FPP. Yay! Oh, well, thank you so much. I'm so glad. On Instagram, someone said, I loved your FPP class. You're amazing. I appreciate you. I have so much fun with it. Let's see. It looks good. Thank you. Love the bird and the beehive. Yeah, I think the bird so far is cute. But I do have... Let me see. It's going to be kind of hard to... I guess I have to hold it up here. So this is the full quilt. So that's the 4th block. That's why it's highlighted. But you can see there's a little fox and a little snowman. I have a feeling the fox is going to be really cute. Probably my favorite. But that's later. That's towards the end of the year. I've been using Acorn products. They have Easy Press Pen. Oh, yeah. I've heard of those too, the little press pen. Yeah. Well, hello. So anyway, I kind of just wanted to come on and do this part with y'all and if you had any questions about the block of the month. Again, you do not have to keep up, so don't feel like if you're behind or whatever, that's completely fine. Don't compare yourself to others or me or whoever. But it's not too late to join. So if you want to join, you can go to my website. It's juliushandmade.com, and you can you click on the 2026 block of the month page. So you're not clicking on one of the months that kind of comes with the drop down from that. You want to click on the actual page, and then you can register there. It takes maybe up to 24 hours for you to have access to the patterns, because I actually have to manually go in on the back end and give you permission to access the pages. That's why it's asking for a guest password. So just know that it will take a little bit, because I have to go in and do it. But if you want to do this block of the month, absolutely would love to have you. Check it out on my website, again, juliushandmade.com, and yeah, it's gonna be fun. Well, thank you, Josh. He said Julius is truly an excellence in FPP. I can't wait to take your class. So, couple things. I have just posted yesterday my FPP class. It's a design class, so if you've ever been interested in designing your own FPP patterns, check it out on my website under virtual classes. I have a 4-week program, an FPP Design 101, so you'll learn the basics of how to design FPP patterns, and also how to use the program Quilt Assistant, which is actually a free program that you can download, and I walk you through all of it. It's a lot of fun. I just had a class end a week ago, and they all did really fantastic. It was a lot of fun, and I will be hosting that again in August. So if you're interested in that, the second class is actually on my birthday, so you'll be able to celebrate my birthday with me, which will be really fun. And then I do offer advanced FPP design, but that's only to people who have not, or who have already taken my FPP Design 101. So don't select that one if you're new to FPP design and you have not taken my my beginner class yet, because they are both available, both happening in August, and it's going to be a lot of fun. So I hope some of you will join that. I hope some of you will sign up for this block of the month. I think it's going to be really fun. I'm excited to kind of get through the spring and summer and I really like the fall and the winter colors and design with the fox and the snowman. So I'm excited for that. But anyway, well, thank you guys for joining me. I know this is kind of a shorter, so I'm very new to this whole live thing. So thank you again to Ian. Ian helped me with setting up my setup. So I have my little Stream Deck. I have my little program on my computer, and it's been a lot of fun. So this was kind of just to test this a bit. So my setup will probably change as I continue. Eventually, I'd like to just be able to broadcast to all my platforms from one thing, but I do have my Instagram on my phone and then YouTube over here on my computer. But this was a lot of fun, so thank you guys for joining. And if you're not subscribed to either my Instagram or my YouTube or even my Facebook, please subscribe. I would love the support. Very grateful for everybody that has already subscribed and that support my little FPP business. If you have any questions, don't hesitate to reach out. You can reach me through social media or through my website, so feel free to do that. And until next time, I'll talk to you later. Take care, guys. Bye-bye.